Today we are just going to be focusing on the express entry. So, express entry. So, is it express road or so? What exactly is express entry in Canada?
Yeah, I mean, Express Entry program, before the Express Entry came on board, we've had a lot of programs in Canada where those who are skilled workers would come in, but
Okay.
then sometimes those programs could take years. Sometimes it could take 2 years, people waiting and whatnot. I'm sure it was part of the reason that this program came about. So Express Entry is just one of the pathways where skilled professionals or workers can come into Canada and become permanent residents. Either those who live in Canada or those who live overseas. And it's express because of the speed at which this gets processed. So with express entry, it gets done within 6 months or less.
Okay. All right, that's good. So in terms of the express program, express entry, so what are the different programs? Is it just one, or so what are the different programs that are available under the express entry?
For me, this question you just asked now happens to be one of the things that I personally think make the program very interesting. So in terms of it's dimensional in place, multidimensional in nature. So we have three basic programs under the express entry. You have the federal skilled worker, you have the federal skilled trade program, and you also have Canadian experience class. So those are the three basic ones. At the very lower end, you have the provincial nominee program. So, but the provincial nominee
Okay.
program can either be done at a standalone, or you can use the nominee program to boost your chance with the express entry.
Okay, which means as you submit your profile and then you get a provincial nominee, that will also increase your chances as well at your point, right?
That's correct. So because normally those three programs they stand alone. Express entry, sorry, federal skill worker, federal skill trade program, and then you have the Canadian class experience, Canadian experience class, right? So,
Okay.
but then the provisional nomination can be used to boost your chance, and also it can also be a standalone sometimes where the province is just the one. By the way, province in Canada is like states in Nigeria and states in the US and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. So for someone that have never studied in Canada, you've never worked in Canada, you are, let's say you're from Nigeria or from other country, let's say the UK. So is it possible to apply for the Express Entry without having ever been in Canada?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's what the federal skilled worker, and I mean the first two. That is what is meant for. So the Canadian experience class is for those who are already working in Canada, right? But the
Okay.
first two is for those who are overseas. So as long as you are able to meet certain conditions, so the flow is this: you get into you do you create a profile, profile, that's express entry profile. By the time you create a profile, where you're before by the way, before you create a profile, you have to check your eligibility and see whether you're eligible or not. Certain
Okay.
conditions will have to be met. You have to do check whether your work experience falls within some kind of work that you can see in Canada. You have to also do evaluation of your certificate so that you can get using some bodies can use World Education Service as WES, or you use ICA for your evaluation. So they issue your certificate. So that certificate is what you use as part of what will be part of the requirement when you're going into the pool. You also do English tests where you're um, reading, 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 listening, writing, and what's the last one? And
Speaking,
and speaking
reading,
will be
speaking.
tested. So, and you have requirement for all of those. So for the federal, for this particular one that you just mentioned now, I think you have to have, you need to have seven, a minimum of seven
Band.
in each of those guys. But I advise people that when you're doing this, aim to have 9 across the board on each of these ones, so that by the time you aim to have 9, worst case scenario, you have 7. So that's going to boost your the higher the better for you. So that's just the very top overview of what it is about. So as long as you meet those conditions, you can always apply from wherever you are all over the world.
Okay. So in terms of the work, I just wanted you to touch a little bit about the work experience, how they do the national occupation, like the NOC, the classification of work. So would you be able to just touch a little bit on that?
Okay, so I'll just talk a bit on the NOC. So like you said something that I thought I need to repeat again. What we are here for is just to provide a guide.
Yeah.
So if you go on the website, you can see a very detailed list. For example, if you are a financial analyst, for example, you can go to NOC and check check for
Class.
the class that relates the most to what you have done in the last 10 years. So in the last
Okay.
10 years, your work experience might not be up to 10 years, right? But that's how it's looked at. So what you have done. So the closest to it is what I think should be your focus. So you look at all of the duties and roles expected of whoever has that, and then you can now see how it fits into what your experience that would be. Because by the time you are submitting, by the time you claim that you have so much experience in the NOC, by the time you are invited to apply, at the
You have to
point of
submit.
the age of apply, you have to prove that you have those things. So you have
Okay.
to submit letters from your previous employers to say that you actually have that experience.
Oh, yeah.
Then you have to submit your certificates. You have to submit the West certificate that they gave to you
Evaluation.
also. So whatever claim that you put on your profile while you're creating your profile, you need to be able to support it with documents.
Okay. All right, I think that's very important to know. Now, I just wanted to ask, in terms of the educational evaluation, how about someone that schooled in Europe, for example? So does the person still need to do evaluation from his document or for his document?
Uh, um, I would think it also depends on where. Even the English test depends on where. Somebody
Okay.
who has schooled in, who probably lives in the UK, I'm sure that their own kind of what's it called now? Their own expectation will be a bit tweaked compared to somebody
Okay.
who's coming from Nigeria. But I remember I have a friend who came in from the UK, and she
Okay.
was talking to
Okay.
me about her own requirements and everything. So the same thing with those who study, who get through. So I might
I
need to
think
even drop.
well, yeah. So when I read through that, so I think they mentioned that if any education that is done outside of Canada. So even though it's in the, because I'm saying I know there are some of our friends in the UK as well and in Europe. So if you do your school in Europe, you still have to do the evaluation of
West.
documents. Yeah, to
Yeah.
convert it to they'll just give you a certificate. Maybe it takes, but once you go to West Canada, you will see all the details. For each country, there is a requirement document. So once you go through it, you see what they need for their West evaluation. Okay.
Peter, before you go, and that is very fair. And the reason I'm saying that's very fair is that think about this: you are coming to a country, and then you are coming to the country as a skilled worker. And what you are saying basically is that whatever I was doing in Nigeria, whatever I was doing in Namibia, whatever I was doing in Ghana, I can do exactly the same thing
In
when I come
Canada.
to Canada. Okay, I'm saying also that whatever credentials I got from Ghana or from Nigeria or from
It's
Namibia
similar. Yeah.
is exactly the same thing, is the equivalence of. So there has to be an objective way of looking that, of proving that. And that is where an independent body has to come in, like West, and say, okay, yes, these credentials that this guy is bringing from Nigeria is exactly the same thing with what U of A will issue what Memorial University will issue. That way, the employers can have that level of confidence to say that, okay, this guy is really, so that's what it is. That's what that is meant.
Okay. I just want to mention at this point that, once you do evaluation of document, the class of degree is not really the focus here. You just want to focus that it's a batch is equivalent to bachelor's degree, and
That's
most times, like bachelor's degree in Nigeria is usually equivalent to a bachelor's degree. So you just need to fulfill all righteousness to do it. So you don't need to be scared if your bachelor's is going to be equivalent to that.
yeah. Even if it's a third class, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Because they don't really put the class of degree in your evaluation documents. They just put, oh, it's a bachelor's program, that's all.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, then would you want to mention, like, in terms of, people might be thinking how much it costs, maybe in terms of, do you need to show like what financial commitments, financial proof of funds do you need to show prior to submitting the profile?
So
Or when
yeah, I like the question you just asked me now. I thought it was very instructive based on some of the feedback I've got from people. Let me just
yeah,
put this out there. By the way, before I continue, guys, if you have any question, you can just use the question icon there and don't put your question on the live. Just put it on the question icon just beside the comments, the comment box. Put it there so that we won't miss your question at all. So coming back to that. So a lot of people come to me and some people have not done express entry because of the proof of
yeah.
fund required. They tell you that it's because of the proof of fund. And I said to people that the proof of fund is actually, in my view, the last thing.
Yes, that's
So
right.
now even if you had 50 million naira, now you need to have
Other thing.
invitation to apply first before that
Yes.
would make sense. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you are not qualified, if you are not been invited to apply, then the 50 million does not count. So the point
Mm-hmm.
where the proof of fund count is after you have created your profile, after you have submitted, after you have picked from the pool based on your score, and after you. So that's the point where it makes sense. So now
Okay.
proof of fund is staggered. So some people also with some people will come to you and say, oh, somebody told me that you have to have 20 million. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, that 20 million is relative. So
It's
it depends
relative.
on
Okay.
the size of your family, your family size.
That's
So
right.
what is expected of somebody who has a family size of 3 is not the same thing with somebody who has a family size of 2. But however, I must say that the smaller the better, right?
That's
So
right.
the smaller the better. So if you have a family size of 3, then it becomes
Mm-hmm.
Kijope, that I told you that is busy. Can you go upstairs to your room, please? So now, so the way the family size is very very important. So because
Okay.
the larger the family, the more likely the fund. So I don't like to speak to specific in terms of telling you that if it is 5, this is
Exactly.
what you have. If it is 10,
Mm-hmm.
no, because these things get updated by the day. So when you go there, you see.
Every time.
But what I think is important is that money is not what you start with. Then the final thing I will say on proof of fund is that some people have the erroneous thought that the proof of fund um what is in your account. That's not entirely true. It has to be cash and cash equivalent. What is liquid or what is very near liquid. It could be your
That's
treasury bills, it could be your stock investment, it could be your anything. So you just know how to package them together. And by the time you are doing that, you have to scan all of them and make them just one
meant
document.
meant them
Then,
together.
yes, and if I were you, I would also do like a letter of explanation to explain each of those things. Okay, I have
Okay.
this. Now, in some cases, you might also need to explain the movement of the fund. So, if, for
That,
example, you see a bullet for because they won't say 6 months history of the account that you are making use of. So
yeah.
they would like to know if there was like 5 million or 10 million that came in within two
Sometimes we
within
get.
2 days. You need to be able
Yes.
to explain and say the reason that this
Mm-hmm.
money is coming from is because I had in an investment, maybe treasury be investment, or I had
And
in
then
place,
converted it. Yeah.
and then I now moved it out. So and then it's been good for you to put a certificate of that investment as part of what you are putting together. So that's the way
Yeah.
they won't have to come back to you. And this was what I did when I was doing my actually some of the things I used for my POF where I had treasury bill investment, I had stock investment, and I told them
Okay.
I didn't even sell the stock investment. I didn't. I just
Okay.
told them I could not sell them because if I sold them, I would lose some money, and I didn't want to lose
That's right.
them. That was what I
Okay.
said to them, and
Okay.
it was not an issue.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm mentioning is, you don't want to say, oh, because I have 100 million, so I'm going to be eligible for it. It's not going to work.
That's
So
correct.
money is not the primary thing. You need to have met other requirements and conditions before talking about money. And so you need to plan it. You don't just want maybe by the time they've given you invitation to apply, then you just tell a friend, oh, transfer 5 million to my account without any source of verifying where that
Yeah,
source of fund comes from.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So how do you actually submit the profile? So how does it work, like in terms of submitting the profile?
Okay, so the way it works is this. I you there first of all, if you go online, you see something like CRS score,
Okay.
where they do you can sometimes you can even know your score without even going to the pool and just do your assessment yourself. So if you go on after now, I can share the link. When we'll share the link under, I will post this video and I will share the link under it so that people can click on the link. So if you go on the
Right.
link, you see where you can create a profile. So you create a profile, and I say to people that before you enter the pool, um, so by the time you create the profile and you get some of the things that you need to do your assessment and whatnot, now one thing that I think is important, because I can't be telling you this is what you do, this is what you click, this is what you should not click. I mean, when
That's
you
right.
go there, it's very
Every information.
what I think is important I should mention is that if you are applying and you're a married person, okay, let's say the things that are complex. You're married, you're a married person, and you want to go as a family. So I strongly advise that since both of you most times will have to do evaluation of your certificate
Yeah.
anyways,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have to do your most times. I'm not saying all the time. You have to
Yeah.
go do your, and I recommend that both of you do the English
Yeah.
tests. So
To get a high.
the reason I'm saying that is that you're not doing anything extra because you're going to do those things anyways. So that by the time you are creating your profile, you are creating your individual profiles. So you are
Okay.
creating my profile as Shino, and I'm putting my wife as a
Okay.
joint applicant. She is creating
Okay.
her own profile too, and she's putting me as a joint applicant.
Applicant.
So by the
Okay.
time you are going into the pool, you go in there with two applications.
Okay.
So you have two applications. So and sometimes I don't mark you. More often than not, you guys will have different scores
That's
unless
right.
you both have exactly the
The
same thing.
same qualifications.
Now you also have to sit down as a couple and see,
Mm.
okay, you have a PhD, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a PhD, I have a BSc. So because you have a PhD, you're going to get more score on your education than I
Education.
would. However, I am younger, you are older.
Okay.
The younger
Okay.
I am, the more
The
score I have for age. So you guys
that's
have
right.
to sit down. So sometimes the score you have in age, being a younger person, might compensate for whatever you are losing for not having as much education as the other party. So you guys have to
Okay.
sit down and see. I don't know if you're getting what I'm trying to say. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I've got to sit down and see who has the most chance. So
Yes.
which is why I say to people that you're not doing anything extra by having two applications, right?
Yes. That's
It is so whoever gets picked in the pool first is who
then
you're going with anyways, right?
that's right.
And since who gets picked in the pool is a function of how the higher your score is, the higher your score, the better for you, right? So I don't know
Yeah.
if I answered the question about the
Yeah.
question you
That
asked.
that that, that that's really important because once you don't like you said, you don't really need, it's not something extra you're doing, just adding a spouse. So once yours is approved, then automatically the person your spouse that you added to it get approved as well. So you don't need to do it separately. You can just do it together. But however, like he mentioned about CRS score, once you go to CIC website and see the comprehensive ranking score calculator, you can just fill in your data. Let's say you are the primary applicant, for example, you put in your education, then You can just put, okay, I do English test and I get 777, and I have so years of work experience. This is the year work experience of my spouse. Once you put it into it, it will give you an idea of what the score is. For example, if you know that, oh, if you put it, the do the CRS calculator and your score is like 390, for example, then you know, okay, this is not going anywhere. So you need to think of what, so that will give you an idea of where you should focus on to increase your points,
Yeah,
right? If you
yeah.
want to maybe, some people go and do maybe learn French and do French proficiency. Some people go and do like
Thank you
another.
for saying that. I was going to mention that once you
Okay,
see that some things can be done, you can't do anything about your age.
that's right.
You might not be able to do anything about your US assessment because it's given. But you can thanks for quickly mentioning that some people go to learn French because if you are bilingual, you get score for
Okay,
being able to speak French, write French, and whatnot for proficiency in some languages. And then I also have people who went to do MBA and then
yeah,
masters because of
certificate.
this program, just to
That's right.
boost their
Yeah,
chances.
yeah,
Thanks
yeah,
for mentioning. So you
yeah.
actually can boost your chance by doing some of those things.
That's right. Even doing like a 1 year certificate program too, it also adds to your point as well. So you just have to see what works. There are some modifiable factors, like I said, and there are some non-modifiable factors. So like English test, you can scale it up to get like 9 or 8 bands,
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
good thing is we have so many resources online that can help you. Like it's massive that you don't have to pay for. There's so many things online that you can use to prepare. By the way, we have 7 questions already, Peter.
Oh, okay. So I just want to quickly just ask the last one, and then we can start talking about the question. So, would you want to talk about other documents that are required? I think you like the medical report, like maybe the police
Yeah, I
report
mean,
and other
yeah, I
documents.
mean those ones. The reason I don't dwell so much about those ones is
Is when you
because
get IT, right?
yes, much like the POF. So I say to people, much like it's POF, it's when you get invited that those ones come to play. Like you start
Okay.
because some of those things get expired.
Required
So
very
you don't
soon, yeah.
want to start spending money all the time. So you wait for you to get the ITA and then go do those medical reports and whatnot, right? So and also those things will not be important unless you have a code. So by the time you get invited, you have a profile to that effect. So you'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to upload. So there's an environment where you have to upload those things. So until you get
100%.
invited, you can't have access to that environment. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's
All
the
right.
that's the thing.
So it's important so things you need to get ready before, like your ECA, educational credential assessment report. So you don't want to start doing your worst, when you already get invited. It's going to take like almost 3 months or so so you have to get that, even while you are planning
No,
things
in
or
fact,
just get it up.
you can't get invited without words because you need the
That's right.
words to create to enter the pool. So you
Okay,
have to
that's
pull
right.
a code. You have to pull a
Code.
and also even the English test. You cannot enter the pool without the English test,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So and I said to people that even if your plan is to go to do provisional nomination, it's always good for you to have a profile and go in the pool because sometimes provinces pick people from the pool.
That's right.
And also,
That's
if
right.
you have a profile and you have provisional nomination, what you have to do is to come and update your profile. That's what you
That's
have to
right.
do. So it's always the
Mhm.
best thing because you're not doing, like I said, you're not doing anything extra. Whatever you're doing to create a profile or to be in the pool is what you will still do even with this thing. Do
Okay.
you
Okay, I
want me to
think
go to questions?
we can go to the questions now. You can go to the questions now.
Okay, so let's go to the
So,
questions. So Peter.
one says, what will be the response to them? And there is evidence of monthly salary in your account. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if
I'm not
about
sure.
the
I'm not sure
proof
of
of
that
funds.
answer about that question, but I will just say something that okay, what will be their response to what? We are not sure. However, if what you are saying is that what will be their response to if you have a bullet stuff in your account, my like I said, the best bet is usually to have an explanation. Don't wait for them to ask you before you explain. So when you explain things before you ask, it's always good, right? Explain it. Then if there's evidence of money salary in your account, it's even better because
It's
you have
better,
no,
yeah.
yeah, you don't have so much explanation to do in that.
Yeah. That's really very important. If you're doing a job and then they're paying you, in fact, that's what you need to show to say that you're actually doing this job, and then you're doing this job, and then they're actually paying you. So if someone says NOC a website, I think you can just briefly just talk about that, what NOC is.
Is NOC a website? It's not a website. Honestly, some of these things, they are things that you would, if you don't go to the website and begin this process, some of these things we just be saying talking about them in theory. NOC, there's no point talking about the acronym, what it means. What is the full meaning? What it just means is that is a list of the category, the way work stuff are categorized in Canada. So if you want to know where what you are doing falls into, whether you are a financial analyst or you're an engineer or you're an architect or anything, is where you go to see and see the code for the kind of work that you are doing. That's what this one is about.
So it's actually under the Canada immigration website, the CIC. So once you go to CIC, you go to under it, you go to NOC, National Occupation Classification, then you can type in your, let's say you're a secondary school teacher, you can see it has to be within the class of A, 0, and B. You can't be doing
Correct.
like that job, maybe there's some maybe customer service representative job, for example, that are under class C. So you have to make sure that whatever you're doing is within 0, A, and B. Okay. For someone who has been a freelance developer, does that count as work experience for point system? So someone doing a freelance developer. So does that count as work experience?
Uh,
So
um,
So I think it depends, right? It depends if you are a software developer, for example, and then you are working with a firm, okay, you have, even though you are working independently, but it's like you are independent contractor or whatever to a firm. So there has to be like a particular firm you're kind of related with, so that it will look as if they are the one that are employing you to get the job done. If
yeah.
not, if you're coming from the point of an entrepreneur, it's a
Or
different
self-employed person.
self-employed person is a
Yeah.
different type of system, right? So if you go to the CIC website, you can see there is the entrepreneurial option as well, maybe for people that are into business and all that. So you can also check that, or maybe if you have a business registration name and you are the CEO of your company, okay, so that can also be like a class of manager. It's like you own the company and you are a manager. So if you don't have a registration for your company and to prove that you are genuine, it will be difficult to actually prove to them that you are a manager of your
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, for freelance, like Peter rightly said, so it's always good to have like a letter or something from the so okay. Okay, I think we've taken that already.
Okay.
Does that count? I think we've taken that already. We have a number of questions here. So we have another question.
So, work experience before bachelor's degree, like you do internship, for example, or you are doing your bachelor's and then you're hustling, doing side jobs and all that. So, does that actually count?
Yeah, I mean, usually, I mean, and that's the same thing even if you do co-op here in Canada and whatnot. So it's the work experience at that time most times does not really count.
Yeah, that's right.
Does not really count.
Yeah.
Doesn't really count.
Yeah. So you have to kind of target, post bachelor degree work, the work you did after your bachelor's degree. For example, NYSC, I've seen lots of people that use that NYSC. If you taught during your NYSC, secondary school teacher is a class B NOC. so it depends on what you did in your NYC, like secondary school teacher, right? So you have to also see, maybe you recently graduated and you just finished your NYC. You can see what you did during your NYC, that because it was a paid experience, right? So if it's an internship that is not paid, you
That is
can't
not
use it.
paid.
Yeah, so because NYC is a paid, it's considered as a work experience because it was paid for, and it's also like a 1 year. So you need to see how that fit, depends on what you do, what you did, how that fit into the NOC classification.
I think we have answered this. Self-employed. How will the person go about it? I think we've talked about this.
Yeah. So you just need to see how you register your, if you self-employed, and you need to prove it, right? Anyone can say I'm self-employed, but you need to prove it, which means you are the manager of your firm. So you need to prove that, oh, there is the company registration, and then you are the manager of the firm, of your own firm. Then you need to kind of show some documents.
Yeah.
Okay. Is my Nice works. Yeah, yes.
My question for childbirth. How will some go about it?
I'm not That's not really very clear, so I'm not sure what
Yeah.
exactly you
So I
mean.
think what the person is trying to say is that if the person is coming to have a child in Canada,
Oh, okay.
that's what the
Oh,
person is trying to say. If you are coming to have a
oh,
child, if you're
mm,
coming to give birth to a Canadian,
mm,
how do you go about it? Honestly, this does not fall under express entry. However, if I must answer you, it falls on people that do this. Just do it under visitors visa.
visitor visa, yeah.
So that's
But
how
getting
that's
the
for that's how you can.
but getting the visitor visa is not as easy as compared to some few other countries.
Yeah.
So
No.
someone, if you have someone there that invites you, maybe you have a relation that invites you, it can be much more easier. Or maybe some people use, maybe you're coming for a conference and all that, but you need to plan. You need to plan. So what you can do, read through the visitors visa requirement, see what are what's required to do the like the visitor visa. So that's the route, not the express entry.
Yeah,
Um,
the only thing I'll add to what Peter just said now is that I have to be very clear about this. Like, just to prepare your mind. One of the visas that is very difficult. One of the visas that are very difficult to get in Canada is visitors visa.
it's much more difficult than getting a study permit.
It's
Mm,
so difficult to get that. So
yeah.
it's the only time when it's easy is when a you have a relation that is a citizen or a PR that is inviting you
Inviting
over.
you.
That's when it's
Mm,
for. Other than that, is you. I'm just
yeah.
that's not to say that you don't have it at all. I mean, about a couple of, like, this personal example. I think sometime end of 2018, I had a friend who came in to have a child here in Canada, right? So, and where I was part of the process, and I was, so it's possible. Just so you know, yeah. Go ahead with the next question.
Okay. Provincial nominee. I think you already mentioned it, but you can just touch it a little bit. Maybe the person was not here. So does provincial nomination program stand alone outside of the federal and Canadian experience class? Can you do it alone, or is combined together? And you can just, I think you already but you can just briefly just talk on it briefly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a program so it's not directly under express entry. Provincial nomination, there's a program organized by provinces and territories based on their own need, their manpower need most times. So they will have done analysis of their labor force, and they feel that they need more doctors,
What class?
more skilled,
No,
and then
special.
based on that, yeah. So
Okay.
but the good thing is that there's a link between, you have a link, so it's not really in silo. Even though it's a different program, there's a link. So if you have provisional nomination and you are in the pool already, it makes it even easier for you.
Okay. That's right. So for we need to be, the province to target, you need to see what is their needs. Because I know some people that, oh, let's say Saskatchewan, they needed some nurses or programmers at that point in time, then you have like a better chance, right? Okay, the next one. If you have a Canadian citizen among your dependent, would I add more points to your CRS score or to your CRS?
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, if you have a, even if the person is not even a citizen, if the person is even a PR that lives in Canada, it adds
Canada.
to your point. So because there's a
Mhm.
point where they ask you if you have someone there. So if you say yes, you get the point for that, and if you say no, you get a point for that. If you also have job offer, you want to say something, Peter?
No, yeah, I'm just thinking. I think it's about 10 or 15 point. I can't remember, but I know it's around that. But you can check.
That's why I'm trying to
It
avoid
varies.
to I'm
Yeah,
trying to
being
avoid
specific,
picking those
right?
things. Yeah,
Yes,
because
yes.
for example, the point you get for job offer used to be way almost 200, about 200. But they scale it down. I think it's about
That's
50
what
now. So I'm trying to be careful. I mean,
that's right.
so yeah. So but I know that if you have job offer, it's going to boost your chance. If you have if a relative, it's going to boost your chance. Like so, that's very correct.
Okay, all right.
Uh,
Next, so can we use pension balance for proof of funds?
Yeah, so I remember that when I was doing mine, someone did mention this to me. So I would say yes, um, subject to a caveat. So
Okay,
I know that there's a percentage that you can have access to
in the
when you
pension.
in the pension stuff. So when you're
Mm,
out of work for a period, I know again I don't want to speak to this because it's been a long time that I checked it. So but I know that there's a percentage that you can have access to. Now the question I want to ask myself is how what is the framework for getting that amount? How quickly can you get that? Can you really
how
bank
liquid?
on that?
Okay. Mm,
So because whatever thing you are making use of, for example, if my pension balance is say 5 million, these guys that are looking at your application, they are very versed. So
very intelligent.
they are very versed. They know everything. They know everything. So they know what percentage of that you can have access to. So I'm sure they would want to assess you based on the percentage that you can have access to.
Okay. So if you have any question, you can use the question button so that we can monitor your question. You don't necessarily need to type directly here. You can use the question section because I'm seeing some questions on the chat. So you can just post your question on the chat, on the question section. Um, Okay. Yeah, so all our past videos, you see it on his Instagram page, my Instagram page, on his Facebook or my Facebook page.
Yeah, they're there. Like
Okay.
if after this live now, if you go on my Instagram page, just scroll down, you'll see. But by the way, let me tell you, when you first click on it, you might see something like black
That's right.
this thing just to wait a bit. It's going. Some people have told me that they did not see the. I will go back now. I can see it is on my page. So it's on my
Just
page. You can
yeah.
see.
Mm, okay. You have any other one?
Yeah.
Um, okay, proof of fund. I think we just finished talking about proof of fund.
So it's when it
So
said again.
mm, anyway, we are here to help. So one line, one line.
Yeah. So okay. So the proof of fund, like I said, is not. First of all, it's not the amount you have in your bank account, right? So it's not your bank account. I mean, no reasonable person will expect you to just put 10 million in your bank account,
That's right.
without
You
doing
don't have any investment, right?
any investment. So they
Mm,
don't expect that from you. However, whatever claim you're putting forward, you must be able to back it up with documents. So now, I also want to make your life less complicated. Avoid having bullet stuff in your account. So, I mean, you don't know that you are applying within a day or two. You will have known that you're doing this application a long time ago. So you start putting in place, the account that you want to make. So start moving money into the account little by little. And then there are some that you can't help. For example, if you have investment in treasury bills, if you have stock investments. So what you have to do is print off your CSCS, Central Clearing System certificates, CSCS that you get from Nigerian Stock Exchange. It
Yeah.
can be so just print a document, a PDF of that, and add it to your bank statement. So your 20B certificate too, add it to your bank statement. If you have fixed deposit, the certificate from fixed
Oh.
deposit, add it to your bank statement, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can now do like a cover letter where you do explanation of all of these things. And so it's in naira, do naira, and then now do Canadian dollar equivalent of the thing beside it. So that way it's very clear to whoever is doing reviewing your documents. I don't know if I answer your question.
Yeah, yeah. That what I just wanted to, whenever you are applying for something, you think if you are the one reviewing the application, what are going to be your suspects?
Correct.
So because these people they've been doing these things for years, and you can't just trick them. They know every single country and how every single system work. Okay. Visa procedure, if someone is coming to Canada to give birth, we already talked about it, is mostly visiting visa, but it's not easy getting a visitor visa from Canada. So you need to, maybe someone invites you, you have a relation there that is inviting you, maybe for any program or whatever, or some
Yeah.
people use preference, but it's really very tough. If your profile is not strong, as in Nigeria, maybe you're working and you're really earning very well. If your profile is not strong, you don't have good documents, visiting is really very hard. But visiting is the route to the express entry.
Yeah, visiting is possible. Let's just making that. So the way to come and give birth is through visiting, and then you can get it. But just go and look at the requirement for visiting visa. There should be letter of invitation from somebody inviting you. There should be purpose of visit. I mean, these are things that you should start thinking about. Purpose of visit, and there should be evidence that you have a strong tie to Nigeria. Maybe your job is good, or you have a business that you can. I mean, these are the things that you mention in your application, in your purpose of visit. Make it look as though your life in Nigeria is too good for you to ignore to come and stay in
Mhm.
Canada.
Yeah,
That
you
is how
just
you
need
have
to
to paint
tell.
it. You have to
Yeah.
make it look like your life in Nigeria is too good to ignore. So you to come and start all over again in Canada and start doing
Mm.
things.
I remember someone writing and explaining that he can't spend more than 1 week because he has to go back to his business. That is very justifiable. That's very justifiable. You need to tell them that you have something doing in Nigeria, that once you are finished, then you can go back. What about work experience in Canada towards the? I will just talk about that. So if you have worked in Canada, if you have worked in Canada, then you can be eligible for the Canadian Experience Class, which means if you have 1 year work experience in Canada, so you can try the Canadian Experience Class. That has a lower CRS score compared to the federal skilled worker.
That's correct. If I know no certification is required, you don't need any school certificate, you don't need any education requirement for that. Just so you
Yeah,
know,
that's right.
it's even that
Yeah.
you don't need. And then the IELTS score is even lower for that than
Lower, yeah.
for
Mhm.
this one. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But the job, even though it's in Canada, the job still has to fall between NOC 0A and B.
that's correct. That's correct.
What about my question is about the credential evaluation. The Canada accept and evaluate ICANN for express entry. Um, I'm not so in terms
Honestly, I'm
of,
not sure.
yeah, I'm not sure specifically because, but if you are an accountant, for example, I'm not sure it really adds to your point because it's not a like a deep if it's not a diploma certificate,
Yeah, it's not a
right?
degree, it's not a
So
diploma.
yeah,
So
so
it's
if
a,
you
it's a
have like
certification.
yeah, so if you have like maybe a 1 year diploma program in financial accounting, whatever something that will count. You understand? Because that is like a one, because there's a point of 1 or 2 years um, diploma program where you have a certificate. But any certificate you do is it's good because it helps you to prove that you are actually like your accountant, but it's not a major requirement that will
Yes.
add more to your point, but
Yeah.
it might
Yeah.
help your profile.
Yeah, it will help your
Mm,
profile. It will help your
yeah,
profile. But it's just
yeah,
like you get. I mean, for somebody who is looking at things that some qualitative things.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the word. So if I'm doing an
That's
application, I'm looking at some things that are qualitative that I
yeah.
can't quantify, like it's not point. But I see, oh,
Mhm.
this is nice, this is a good profile, then it can
Mhm.
count, right?
Because someone was asking me about, if you're talking about NOC, that you need to be a member of a professional body in your field before that job can count. So I was telling the person I'm not really very familiar with. Let's say you are an accountant, you don't necessarily have to be a member of an ICANN before you can use, let's say you are working in a bank, you don't need to have ICANN to certify that you are an accountant before your work experience will count. I haven't read anything about that.
Yeah, that's spot on. Like you don't need to show that at all.
Like a professional body, let's say you are an engineer, you don't need to be a member of Coren before you can show that you're actually working with an engineering firm. But if you have, it's an advantage to you. Okay. If I have BS and MSc, do I have to evaluate both or the highest?
Yeah, I mean, it's the highest that you evaluate. You don't need to
Yes.
waste your money doing that. Just evaluate the MSc. That's
Yeah.
what you have
So
to do.
that's right. So that's if it's outside of Nigeria. If you have MSc in Nigeria in Canada, you don't need any evaluation.
Yeah.
And that becomes your highest degree. You don't even need to evaluate your BSc if you have masters in Canada. But if it's outside of Canada, you need to evaluate the highest degree. That's what counts.
So, but guys, if you are typing a comment, please use it for questions. Use the question button, please, so that I don't miss
Okay.
your question.
Can I use two bank accounts from different countries as a financial proof?
Oh yes, you can. You can if you can use different asset classes. Why not different
Yeah,
banks?
that's
So I
right.
just
That's
mentioned that you could use different asset. I just mentioned that you could scan for proof of fund. You can use the uh, well, fixed deposit. You can use treasury bills. You can use bond. You can use stock investment, and all of them will count as proof of fund because they are near cash. So they are very
that's right.
liquid, and then so yeah, you can use it. And so why not? You can use different guys, but it's important for you to have letter of explanation as a cover page where you do
Yeah.
equivalent of all of those things. For example, if you
And
have in
combine it
Canadian naira,
together.
if you have in naira, you also have in the UK, you also have in you have to do the Canadian equivalent of all of them beside just so whoever is evaluating your file knows that you know what you're doing.
That's really important, and but make sure it's an account that has been running for a while, not just open an account and put 10 million.
I'm putting
It's
yeah,
not,
correct.
it won't be justifiable enough.
Yeah, correct. So,
Okay.
I mean, and on the final note, in terms of making your account look good, there are some things I can't say here, even though they are legit. I won't advise you to do
Yeah,
things that are not legit, but
yeah.
some things you can still do that even if it's not your money, there's some things that you can do legitimately that can help you that
Um,
can help your account look good. There's
So
some
that
things that you
one
can
is that's a personal arrangement.
yeah.
If you can chat us up, then we can give you a
Yeah,
bit of hint.
yeah.
Let's say you don't have
And by
the
the way,
cash.
let me put
Yeah,
this caveat. No, we are not going to tell you that so on how to doctor
yeah.
bank statement. That is not what we are talking about.
No, no, no.
No, it's just how to walk around it and make sure the things that you can do that we
Yeah,
might be able to do on yeah. So that's the
that's. Do we still have any other question?
yeah. I think we still have questions.
Okay.
So this is one from my
Uh,
friend. Yeah.
is it possible to get a job in Canada while in Nigeria?
Yes. Very possible like it's possible to get a job in Canada. Why in like if I strongly recommend I didn't prepare well for that, and I said to people that that's what I expect people to do, and I'll give a few personal examples. So I have a friend who got a job whilst in
Okay.
Nigeria before he came.
Oh, that
Oh yeah,
adds a lot to the point. A
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
So,
I have a friend who got a job before coming. So that's one. Even myself, the very first interview I went for when I got to Canada was a job that I applied for before I
in
left
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yes. So I did my first interview in Canada. I think I got in Canada on a Sunday, and I did my first interview on Wednesday.
Wow,
So
that's fast.
I put it in the comment to them. It was, and if I shocked, I didn't get a job, but
Okay.
I interviewed, and the person that got the job from me, the person that got the job I got the job ahead of me was somebody that has been in Canadian system. So and
Uh,
somebody told me later that it was based on Canadian experience. I just came like
okay.
a few days ago. I know in
Yeah,
Canada is sometimes if they had the
experience.
option of picking somebody who has
Yeah,
been on ground who knows the system very well. Of course, if I were them too, I mean, I probably would do the same thing.
yeah, that's right. So it's possible. It's something you can explore, but it's not easy, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Okay, I think we still okay. Another question.
Can I apply for admission for another master's program in Canada despite having an MBA in Nigeria?
You can have 20 masters.
Yes, so it's not so, but you need to prove, when you're writing this, you need to state why you were doing another master's degree and how it will contribute to your career.
Mm.
Okay, so you just need to, kind of explain. I know someone that already did a PhD in Nigeria and came here for another PhD, so it's
Okay.
very possible. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys. It's really I really appreciate you guys. It's been a very engaging session, I must say. So many questions. Ah, we have about 3 minutes to go. So let's quickly look at. I think I have one more question here. Uh, so in the comment section, my friend is asking that can someone that has work experience from the UK get a good job in Canada? Yes. In fact, without, I mean, with due respect to Nigeria and the rest of the country, I want to assume that an employer is likely to get to see more relatable names. The more relatable a name is, the more comfortable an employer will be. I mean,
Okay.
and it costs
That's
across
right.
for everyone. Like, so
Mm,
if somebody works, I see on someone's resume, for example, that person has worked in the UK and probably works with a band that I know or with something. I mean, it's easy for me to relate to that
that's
name
right.
than
That's right. Okay, then for a provisional nomination, let's say what document do you need for like maybe a family that is already there to kind of give you like that nomination or so. I think the person just need to show that he's a current resident or like a citizen, and
yeah,
then
something similar to what I did in the case of my. I mean, what you're doing something similar to what you're doing if you're doing visitor visa
yeah,
for your
yeah,
siblings. It might
yeah,
so that I can bring it home. When I was doing my mom's application, typically you send them you send whoever is applying you send them a scanned copy of your if you are a PR your PR document. If you're a citizen, your maybe your passport or anything,
yeah.
right? Then you can if it's for example in the case of your mother your father you can also attach your birth certificate where your
To
name is
show the
there and their own name
connection.
is there, so just something
That's
to
right.
show that
Okay.
you guys are here. So that's
All right.
okay. So I think I've exhausted the question button. I just want to scan through to see if I will be able to pick some questions
I
since
think so. There's one here that says, let's say if a province told you to apply and then the occupation is not like does not reflect in your credentials and it was rejected, can you still apply to the province again? If you meet the qualifications again, you can apply again. There is no limitation. As far as they have not banned you, like you are still admissible to Canada, you can
yeah,
apply again. Yeah,
as long as you're not blacklisted, yeah, I
yeah.
think it's good. Okay, I think there's a question here. Hi, much where your okay.
So you say when your spouse is the primary applicant, but you go with them and come back to Nigeria and only go for visiting, is that possible? Yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Busuyi is that's in fact I have a lot of folks that in fact there's somebody that Busuyi himself knows. Busuyi himself knows very well that the
Mm,
husband, the wife and the kids are here, but the husband still works in Nigeria. He comes around
Yeah,
regular intervals
yeah.
and goes and comes, and that's what it does. It's very possible.
It's even good if both of you have PRO, then the husband can come at any time. As far as you don't need to start talking about visa each time you're planning to come. So it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have about 5 friends who are doing that right now. About 5 friends,
Okay.
but do you know somebody? One of them. Go ahead.
So there is site to apply for the express entry. You should just go to CIC and type express entry. You will see everything over there.
Just CIC, just CIC. That's
CIC.
yeah, Canadian.
Um,
So
or just if you just type Canadian express entry in Google, it
presently.
will give you the first website.
So Peter, I like you to close the stuff because we have less than 2 minutes right now.
Okay. One thing I always tell people is whatever you want to apply for, you have to know the one you want to apply for, like the provincial nominee or the federal state worker or the Canadian Experience class for those working in Canada. You need to know which one you're applying for and begin to plan towards it. It might take you like a year to put yourself in order to get everything ready. So don't just wake up and it's like, oh, I want to do this, and then discover that there are some documents you could have gotten like a year ago. So decide on exactly the one you want to go and go to CIC website, read through everything,
Okay.
highlight what and what you need to do, and the
Okay.
documents you don't have a plan. It can be a 1 year plan, a 2 year plan, and then that helps you a lot.
Okay. Thank you so much, Peter. What I will add to it is for those who I see this question a lot, people talk about their CRS score being very low. So one thing I say to people, and those who are aged, if already you're over 35, I strongly advise that enter into the pool, remain in the pool, but start looking out for provincial nomination. So thankfully, next episode we'll be talking about provincial nomination. We will try and do some good work on provincial nomination and how we can use that to leverage. But if you have a CRS score that is low, you are in the pool, it might be a good time for you to strongly start looking for. And that's what I've seen for those who are aged. Mostly they enter through provincial nomination. Thank you, guys. It's been a wonderful time. Thanks for making it very engaging. I can't begin to mention the names of people that have been here. It's been a wonderful time. We really, really appreciate you. Thanks so much, Peter, for agreeing to do this on a pro bono basis. And God bless you. See you next week, guys. Safe.
All right. All right. Thank you. See you.